Once upon a time, Chris called Dan and said, "I'm having an idea." When Dan got over his initial shock and horror, he agreed to hear Chris out. Suddenly, a podcast was born, and somehow I was suckered into recording the intro to give them a little bit of legitimacy. And so, here we are. Welcome to the Dan and Chris Save the World podcast.
The Dan and Chris podcast has been fortified with 6 essential vitamins and minerals. Please use only as directed.
Be careful operating heavy machinery while listening to this podcast. If you are pregnant or may become pregnant, please consult a physician before listening to this podcast.
No animals were harmed in the creation of this podcast. For best results, open your mind and smile while listening. Continued use of this podcast has been known to cause hilarity in certain individuals.
Proceed at your own risk. Here we are, the second week in a row. We did it last week, didn't we?
Yeah, that's not normal for us that we are able to record every week for a change of pace. It's kind of nice.
Let's catch up a little bit. I'm sure people miss us. Haven't heard from us in a while. So
yeah,
we have a lot to say.
We just haven't figured out what exactly we're saying yet.
No, it just words pop out of our mouths, and maybe they're interesting, maybe they're not. Who knows?
Yeah. How you doing?
Oh, it's not been too bad of a week.
No.
No, I missed the
It's only Tuesday.
Okay, considering it's only Tuesday.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay. I missed the windstorm this weekend.
Okay.
Because I was down in by Bristol at the Cutler Boy Scout camp.
Did anything happen at the home front for you?
No, as far as I know, nothing, and the power didn't go out or anything. I think there might have been some flickering or something, but... So we got some loose siding, I guess, get looked at. Yeah.
The lights went out for me for 17 hours. I was out.
Oh.
The house dropped down to 51 degrees at its coldest.
Oh, that must have been fun.
It was a little chilly, but you know what? Yeah. Most of it, it was in the it went out around 6:30 at night on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And I was playing D&D online through Discord and Roll20.com. With my Saturday group. It's spread across the Northeast, right? And all of a sudden, boom, the lights go out. And I'm like, well, shit, it was just about to get interesting, too. So, of course, I have Discord on my phone so I can text my son. Mm-hmm. So I jump back into Discord through my phone. So I'm chatting with them on my phone. And I have my new laptop, which has had a fully charged battery. Okay. So I brought out my character sheet. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to use my regular dice instead of the Roll20 algorithm that hates me. So I ended up playing D&D for the rest of the night, even though I'm like candlelight and laptop,
Well, that's kind of nice.
Oh, it was funny as hell. It was absolutely funny as hell. And at one point, my phone started giving out, which I expected. Mm-hmm. And I remembered I had a battery pack in my backpack that I've had for a couple of years that I use in emergencies. Mm-hmm. So I plugged that in. My phone, that damn thing hung in there. We played I was there, let's see, it went offline at 6:30, and we played until 11 o'clock.
Nice.
So that's like, 4.5, almost 5 hours where I was just
constant usage of it. So yeah,
on battery power,
mm-hmm.
and making constant jokes about it in character. So it was hilarious,
Very cool.
At one point, even using the old phrase, and that's the night the lights went out in Georgia.
Well, it's only appropriate,
It absolutely. And then, went to bed, curled in under the blankets. So when it was getting really cold in my house, I didn't notice.
Yeah. Yeah, we had no cell service where we are.
Oh,
so but it's funny because so the camp in general seemed to have no cell service, but they have a camp store which wasn't open. The store wasn't open, of course.
Okay,
it's off season. They don't open it for the main scouting events, but right at the store, you get pretty much a full signal, like only immediately at the store. So it was really weird. You go there and
so they had like a Wi-Fi connection there or something.
Something. I mean, it was a cell connection. So if they had a cell, I don't know, like a little
tower?
cell, but it was only like right at. You had to be like right in front of the store to get a signal. So I was like, some of the kids, couple of the older kids kept on wandering down to the store to get some service, and I wandered down a couple of times to check messages and stuff. And it's just weird that little spot there had like I pulled in like almost a full strength signal for some reason. But it was good. It was a heated lodge type of place.
Okay.
So
you were not.
I wasn't
really roughing it like you were the last time.
Right. It wasn't in a tent, and I was glad because, it was December, so you never know what the weather's going to be like. So
valid.
would not have been excited if it had snowed.
But why not, Daniel?
I don't know. So we had electricity, running water, hot water, so it was, most of the comforts of home there. So,
but
it was fun. Yeah, boys. I took both boys. So even my young pre-Boy Scout there, my Cub Scout there, my wee below. So yeah.
So Jen probably needed the break too, so that worked out well for her.
Yeah, she's never had a weekend without the boys.
Really?
And
that's amazing.
So she should do it more often. I'm good with the boys.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
So, it's always fun to watch you interact with them, especially Josh.
Josh is a trip. I took him to get their first COVID shot tonight. So Zach was fine with it. He was good, and Josh was very like, I don't want to go, and
yeah,
I'm wearing. I have my. He loves the Grinch, so I said, I'll wear my Grinch pants to the thing, and you can wear your Grinch pajamas. We'll match, and going get your shots, and so we did that. So we were matching Grinch. He went and got his shot, and he was fine and everything. So. So they both got their first shot, so I was excited about that. So
that's hilarious.
But I had to talk about it, and then we'll get Taco Bell after it, So and then Taco Bell was out of beef.
What?
And I get to the line. I'm like, sorry, we're out of beef. You don't want anything without beef? I'm like, what?
How does that happen?
Stop ordering big time at Taco Bell.
My God.
To be out of their ground. So I said, just put chicken in whatever had beef. And it was fine what it was, but it's just surprising that Taco Bell was out of beef.
That's funny.
Bad planning.
Bad juju.
So, yeah. So that's what's been going on, I guess, this week. So, yeah. That's it. All right, we're done.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we can talk about tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, so Christmas is right around the corner.
I, as usual, haven't noticed.
I know.
Everything's kind of just happened all at once, and it's like I haven't even had a chance to go Christmas shopping. Not that I have the money to do it, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, okay. So
you're not as excited about it as I am. I know that.
I have really soured on Christmas over the past few years. It really has been, I'll tell you what, and as whiny as it sounds, that first one after Erica and I split up, and the way it worked out is the kids were going to be with her. Okay, fine. I get it. There's always some sort of maneuvering going on. And so Christmas Eve, nobody. It's just me in my house.
Yeah.
And that was and I was already kind of souring on Christmas a little bit before that, but that was just like that shot in the head, like, yeah, I fucking hate this holiday. That's basically where I was at that point. It's like, all right, whatever.
I love the lights. Our neighborhood is pretty well decorated. We have some people who are going above and beyond this year, I think. So I love seeing the lights.
Mm-hmm.
And just the general spirit of it, the holiday. It's not about the presents. It's about the goodwill towards man type of thing. Towards people.
Yeah, because there's so much of that lately too.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping that it brings a little bit out at least, because I know there's not a lot in the reserve these days, but maybe a little bit can come out for the holidays, and without the semi-automatic weapons, kind of thing to celebrate. Yeah. Anyways. I got my Debbie Gibson calendar for 2022.
Fantastic. How is the Deb?
Signed, Dan, be a legend in 2022, Debbie Gibson.
Did she, did you tell her I said hi? I always ask you to do that. Whenever you talk to her, tell her I said hi.
I for some reason I forget, and I just get sidetracked, and, I just, Chris doesn't come to mind when I'm sitting with Debbie there.
Come on!
We hang out all the time, and it's just for some reason,
That's rich.
Well, there was that one time I was in her trailer or a bus.
Yes.
Her bus.
For your little VIP hangout.
That was so bizarre. It was me. It was 3 of us.
There's a couple. I was going to say there's a couple of people in there with you.
There was just 4 of us total. I think there's 4 of us total. So four fans. So it was very cool, very intimate. As far as there, and her manager was there, and her PA was there, kind of thing too, and her dogs were there.
Nice.
She has 3 wiener dogs. But so it was in her bus, because it was part of the tour, mixtape tour there. So it was cool to sit on the bus with her for like an hour. We were there for like 45 minutes to an hour or something like that after the show.
So it wasn't just a wham bam, here, get your autograph and your picture, and out you go. No. There was some quality hangout time going on.
We were in there talking. We were just talking. She played some on down in the DL some music that she might be releasing soon, and just talking about upcoming stuff, and asked whatever questions we wanted, and it just basically went on for however we had stuff to say, kind of thing. I'm sure it wasn't not too long, but so it was very, very cool, very relaxed, and if that ever came up, I would definitely do it again. It wasn't cheap, but I would do it again, because it was amazing quality, just time to sit with her. So yeah,
that's cool. That's cool. Now, you guys, do you feel like? I mean, obviously with her caliber of celebrity, she doesn't remember every single person vividly, but do you feel like that there's a glimmer of recognition there? Like when she sees you, she knows that there's this person she's met on several occasions?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not one of the most of a vocal fans. I mean, there are some of the fans who, she definitely knows. I mean, she knows them very well, because they make more of an effort to go to more things. They have a very strong online presence.
Right.
They do a lot of stuff, and so there's a bunch of them. That I'm not the tier 1 fan.
Right. Yeah, you're not the A-list fan.
I'm the tier 2 kind of thing. I'm there, and I'm not. I mean, when I brought I brought all the pictures that I had of meeting her in different times. So I saw, I showed her, and I said, "Do you remember which show you were in for these?" and kind of thing, and where these were, and she got some of them right, some of them wrong, which is kind of funny, but it wasn't like, "Oh yeah, I remember you" type of thing, but which is understandable, because like she's, I'm not that vocal person. I don't have that big personality where I stick out type of thing. So
right.
And I'm not as go to as many events as other people do, because some people are just all over the place. I mean, which is, it's just crazy. But it is. I mean, but it's relatively small community, the diehard fans. So I've gotten to talk with a lot more of the other deb heads, that are through the online community there and stuff. So I'm a little more recognition with them, at least, which is cool. So yeah, I mean, it's fun.
That's good. See, that you just struck on that, though. That's the most important part. As long as it's fun, then that's all you need to worry about.
The Deb's community, the bigger fans, it's small enough. They're a tight enough group where many of them, have known each other for decades. They've been fans, and I've known a lot. At least not I've known of them, and maybe not them well, for many, many years too. So it's kind of a safe spot for the fans. For the
excellent.
And it's all positive. Everything about Deb is positive. I mean, so it's yeah. It's.
Well, I think that's why it's one of the main reasons why you've stuck with her for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it's about her music, about her personality, about who she is. I mean, and that's really what it is. It's about who she is ultimately. Obviously, when she came out, I thought she was cute, kind of thing. And she's our age, and
I never noticed that. And
I like the music, but as I got to know her more, I respected her more as a person, not just an artist. She's a great person, and she sings, and then kind of thing.
Sings well too.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I liked about Taylor Swift kind of thing too.
Yeah, I was going to say, your other favorite celebrity, she had a birthday this week too.
Yesterday, yes.
Yeah.
32. But,
wow.
But that it's the same kind of thing. After I kind of like I liked the music before, but after I saw what type of person she is, and I got to more respect her. But I mean, lately I've been Taylor's got a huge fan community, but I mesh with this group of parents, the Swifty Parent Squad.
The Swifty Parent Squad, is that what they really call themselves? That's amazing.
The parent, I don't know, PTO or parent, I don't know, but it's all basically, these are a group of older people and parents.
Okay.
So we have our own little private group that we chat in and stuff, which is, so I got my little community there,
right,
of people who are of closer to age. So there's some older, some younger, and there's a wide range, but they're all in this particular group. They're all parents, and then there's a whole bunch of other people that outside of that I'll chat with fairly regularly and everything. But it's Taylor, the place as a whole is a lot more volatile just because of the number of people involved and everything. But the small little group of the group of Swifties there are, it's a safe spot. It's a comfortable spot. We talk about all kinds of, it's not just Taylor, it's about our personal lives, what's going on, and people, whatever problems are happening or good
you guys
things,
are full-on
bad things.
Support group in that case.
Yeah. So, I found this unexpected community there, of this one part of the whole Swifty community is this one small part is it's a safe spot, and it's a place where you just go and just contribute or not contribute, whatever, and be, but I'm a part of it, kind of thing. So it's and they know about my Debbie Gibson thing too, and some of them, I love her too, and so it's so it's interesting how, I don't know, it's interesting where I've been going for, I don't know, not escape necessarily, but just more of just a getaway and just sort of share my love of things without, so yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Every generation, Dan finds a young, blonde, talented artist to follow.
It's kind of funny, Taylor is definitely on a much different level than Debbie is.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Taylor is the person who can re-record her albums and re-release them, and they become number ones, even bigger than when they first came around.
Well, let me ask you this then. Let's do a what if here. Do you think that if Debbie had the benefit of 21st century social media, that she would have been bigger than she is now, or was?
I don't think so, because of the type of music.
Okay.
I don't know, but I don't know. I don't think it's I don't know. I mean, I love Debbie. I love her music, but she, I mean, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I mean, Debbie is actually she's fairly active on social media right now.
Okay.
And she does interact a lot with fans. She interacts a lot with social media. She posts daily. A lot of it it's not just, showing stuff, but it's her posting stuff, or her PA posting stuff for her, but it's her and a lot of, so she is actually very interactive, and she has a fairly strong following of people. So, I mean, she'll never be, the Taylor Swift level, but she is in her own, for considering she's an artist who, she just came out with her first studio album in what, 15, 18 years or something like that. And, she's still doing well,
That's
our
good.
age, so she's got her niche.
Okay.
And I think she's, she had a successful run in Vegas recently. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if she'd be, I mean, I think Taylor's just on a different level of stuff.
Which is fair to say.
I mean, she started off in country. She crossed some of her albums are just kind of all over the place as far as genres. And so, it's, yeah, I don't know. It's different. I mean, you love what you love. I mean, that's why there's so many different artists. If you can't find some sort of music that you love out there, and I love music. I've always loved music.
Oh yeah. What was that meme that I saw yesterday? Hang on a second. Let me find that again. It spoke musicians, something about musicians. Come on, phone, work with me here. Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
The sirens are going out outside because The Chi Fire Department, they put the truck up in lights,
goody.
And Santa rides on top of it.
Yeah, that's
and
cool when they do stuff like that.
Candy canes, so they're coming around our neighborhood. So I keep on hearing the sirens out there. And
if it's any consolation, I'm not hearing it, so It's not coming through your mic.
Well, it's okay if it was. But
musicians are just therapists that you can party with.
Yes, I saw that, and I did like that and appreciate it because, I mean, Taylor Swift, she released a 10-minute version of one of her songs, and it went to number 1.
Jeeps.
So she beat out, American Pie is the longest number 1 song. Now the funny thing about this song is song it was never a single. It was a song that she loved it. It wasn't a main. It wasn't never released as a single, but but as soon as the fans heard it, the fans made it popular, and it was a song about a breakup.
Of course,
so it's a song, but not of course. It's more, but this was happening.
Well, as an outside observer, a non-Swiftie person such as myself, most of her music is based on heartache and breakups and stuff like that. There was a phrase going around that young Hollywood actors didn't want to date her because they didn't want to have a song named after them.
Yeah, that's the thing that goes around.
But the thing is, I know she's capable of much more than just that.
Yeah, she does a lot more than that. But this song on the album, it was 5 minutes long.
Oh, geez. Okay.
So it was long to begin with.
Gotcha.
But during some, because this song kind of took on a life of its own, people, the fans latched onto it. And I do love the original version. But then she let it slip in an interview that the song started out as 10 minutes long.
Oh, so then they all wanted the Snyder cut.
For years, keep on seeing, people are like, I want Taylor, give us a 10-minute version. And it was like an urban legend type of thing that this 10-minute version existed, and it did. And she released it, and oh my gosh, did
it go bonkers?
The song was it's a very intense. The song, as the story goes, it all came out at once. She was basically at a rehearsal before a concert, and she just started playing, and the sound engineer happened to be recording at that time, and the whole song came out at one time.
Wow!
The band started picking it up, and it was, apparently this recording still exists of the original, the first time. So it wasn't something she did out and she wrote. It just sort of came out of her because she had just gotten over, it's just going through a breakup kind of thing. It really was, because of a breakup. And she is an amazing wordsmith. So the one thing that I've really learned to appreciate is just the depth that goes into her lyrics.
Okay.
And the emotion that goes. And so the 10-minute version of this song, it completes the song. So she cut it down to be the 5 minutes so it could fit on the album.
Right.
Because who would release a 10-minute song?
Was it for that scene from Bohemian Rhapsody? 6 bloody minutes.
Right. 6 minutes it's a long song, but that,
yeah.
but the song is, amazingly enough, it's complete with it. It's a whole story. It's a very emotional. It's very, it's very raw. Mm-hmm. The whole thing is, you can just feel the pain going through the song and everything. And she even made a short movie out of it. So, if you look at YouTube, there's a short, it's like 13-minute, movie with, I can't remember the actor's name. There's 2 actors that play like the young her and the love interest there. The all too well 10-minute version, if you ever, it's I don't know. I loved All Too Well, the 5-minute version, and I was blown away by the 10-minute version just because of the strength of the lyrics of it. So, but
okay.
Anyways, I've been talking like 23 minutes straight here.
Yeah, that's part of my plan. To get you to, I want people to know you just as much as they know me.
I love my music. I love the music. The whole album, when she released her album, it's 2 hours and 10 minutes long.
Okay. Which is not normal for an album.
But when I ran my marathon, my half marathon, I finished it in 2 hours and 9 minutes long. 2 hours and 9 minutes.
Okay.
So I listened, and guess what album I started right at the beginning of that run? My goal. I was hoping to finish before the album ended, and I barely did. It was literally.
That's a goal.
But oh my gosh, it was like the perfect half marathon length album there. But
fantastic.
It's
that
crazy.
Is fantastic. So you hear that, Taylor? You're a marathon woman.
Oh, yeah. So that's. I've been having a lot of dreams lately that feel real.
Tell me.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you the details of it because it's not something I want to share with the world. But it's just that
that's fair.
A few nights in a row, I've had those dreams which they feel, and they've stuck with me enough. Where it's because a lot of times they fade away pretty quickly. Some dreams,
right.
But these ones have just they've and I know they come from desires based on the subject, those deep dark things. But oh my gosh, they felt so real.
Go Freud, man, go Freud.
And and then you wake up and you're like, oh no, it wasn't real. It's like that, that deep kind of depression, not the deep depression, but it's just like that is the momentary depression anyway. Like, oh my gosh, it wasn't real. The hope that that it was real, like there's something, that thing that you wanted to happen, and it was going on in the dream, it was happening in the dream, and you wake up and like, oh, it wasn't real.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that concept.
I've had that a few times lately.
Okay,
it's just,
and it sounds like you're actually kind of self-aware with what might be kind of causing that, what might be coming to the forefront of what's making you think that way, or am I wrong?
Oh, yeah, I know. I know. I know myself well enough where I don't need it. I can psychoanalyze myself. I know where these are coming from. So but
have you ever done the therapy thing?
No. I know you did with Erica.
Well, not only that, but after a while, I was going solo. For my own self, especially when it was clear that no amount of therapy was going to save the relationship. I kind of started transitioning to. I mean, I was with that particular fella for about 3 years. Just kind of figuring. It helped me kind of figure out a few things of my own, and he appreciated how self-aware I was about things. So I learned something along the way, and it helped. It really did. It helped. And it is also, I thought it also gave me something to work with others, because there's this stigma that we've talked about in the past about therapy. And apparently I don't fit the mold for somebody who needs therapy, even though these people don't talk to me long enough to realize that I am friggin' mental at times.
I've known that all the time.
Well, I know you. Well, you've known me for 37, 38 years at this point.
Far too long. I mean, a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, laugh it up, fuzzball. But it helps when I can be upfront about it. Yeah, I've been to therapy, and yes, it has helped. And it wasn't just minor kicking around. There was honest conversations. There were moments where I was like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And the fellow's like, okay, that's fine, but we're going to talk about it. I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Well, so, and so to be able to kind of relate that to people and help them feel more comfortable about it. I think that's one of the big things that we need to be doing, is just continue the destigmatizing of therapy. The more people just kind of embrace it, you should be saying, yes, I have a primary care physician, a dentist, and a therapist. Boom. There's your list. There's your healthcare source. Here's your structure right there. And the more we treat that as normal, the better off a lot of people will be, I think.
Well, there's a lot of things we should treat more as normal. But yeah, that therapy is definitely, one. I don't know if I'm scared of it or if I just feel like I don't need it. Because I feel like I feel like I know myself a lot. Because I spend a lot of time with myself. I spend a lot of time thinking. I
understand.
I went through the years of keeping journals and just keeping ideas and just looking back, what's going through my head. And I don't know. I don't know. And like, what could they possibly tell me or help me that I don't know about?
Well, that's an excellent question. It really is, and one that I don't have an answer for because not a therapist. I would just hazard that you might be surprised. You know what? You might have a couple of and you can't just go 1, 2, 3 appointments and be like, yeah, I'm not getting anything out of this. You really kind of got to spend some time getting to know that person, because in the process of you getting to know the therapist, they're like getting into your head and figuring out who you are and understanding if there's something that they can address or not. And these people are so well trained and so well educated that if there's something there, they're going to find it. It's going to be a thing.
So Apple TV has a series called The Shrink Next Door. Which I guess is based on a real story with Will Ferrell and I don't remember who else offhand, but it's about basically a shrink who kind of uses the weaknesses of his patient there and kind of takes over his life.
Oh, jeez.
But so it's not even this Will Ferrell. It's not a comedy, but it's like, okay, it's another reason not to go to a shrink, but
yeah,
but
that's a disservice.
It's The Shrink Next Door. Who's in it? It's I don't want to play it. Never mind. Come on. But yeah, it's just bizarre. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what would motivate me to do it, but I've had other people mention it to me before, but it's still not something that I don't know, comfortable, or just I don't know if I just don't feel I need it. But I guess that's no one really feels they need it, right?
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Once I was done with the whole relationship counseling, I'm like, I don't need to be here anymore. But it took one conversation, because the fellow who ended up being my therapist for those couple of years there was the person who was doing the tail end of the couples counseling with Erica and I, and so he kind of had a really interesting insight as to who we were as people. Right. Okay. And so we kind of started making use of that. And there was, I can't remember if there was one thing in particular he said, or if it was just, hey, let's have these conversations, hey, do you want to stick it out solo for a little while? I don't remember if it was like a more practical conversation or if there was one little message that he said. And there were times where the conversation was just a couple of guys hanging out and shooting the shit and talking about world politics, much like you and I do.
Like this, right?
Kind of like this when we record, right?
Right.
But then there were conversations and things it's not like I went into that room planning on discussing certain things that were popping up in my head, but it just seemed the right thing to talk about at the moment. And then he'd give me strategies, or he would bounce things off, or sometimes it was just validation, just like, oh yeah, no, I get it. And I completely understand why you feel that way. I was like, really?
Well, I've joked a few times that these are kind of like my therapy session. These doing these, or we think we both have, but so it's not far from the truth. I mean, it sounds similar to what, except you might get a little more personal, get more into details of things, or
right. Well, I remember you and I joking one time. I don't know if we said it on air or not, but something along the lines of, I need a therapy session. We're recording tomorrow.
Yes. We both might have said that. I don't know.
Yes, I think we both have said that at one point or another. But
yeah, I mean, it's a bizarre time in history.
It really is. You know what? I don't think when we were kids and we were in high school and we were in social studies and we're learning all about history, I don't think we were anticipating when we were teenagers that when we were middle-aged people that we would be in a watershed point in history. That we actually would be participating and observing from the inside. That's the thing is, I remember asking Mr. Gelati, remember our social studies professor at Aquinas, Mr. Gelati? I remember asking him one time, are there ways did people in these eras realize what was happening? Did they realize that this was history making stuff at that time? And I think that's why, and he said, no, they really probably didn't for the most part, but that's what makes books like The Diary of Anne Frank so valuable, because you're seeing history from the inside, right? Now, obviously we had a ton of material about World War II, to look at from the military aspect and the sociological and political aspect and whatnot. But her book, the reason it was so important was that it was a look at a historical watershed in humankind from the inside, from a human standpoint. And I think this what made it. And it took me decades to actually truly be able to appreciate it.
A young girl who was writing just to write, not because she was trying to make an impression somewhere, but just to write.
She wasn't writing for the likes.
My life. This is going on for my life. This is what's going on in my life. And this is how she got through it, or got through it as far as she did.
Yeah.
It's that was. I remember reading that for the first time, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We're reading the words of this, young girl who didn't make it.
Yeah.
And it almost kind of like watching. I mean, to live history, that little bit of history like that. I love history. I was never good at history. I never had the memory for history, but I'm always fascinated by history. I'm always fascinated by how things actually were in the past and how things happened, and when the Titanic sank, what was going through these people's heads? What was it really like being on this? World War II, when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. I can't imagine how long did it take the rest of the country to find out about it?
Oh my God, it's almost like a day, almost 2 days.
Is that crazy? Today, it happened today, of course, boom, instantly.
Oh, right. We would all know about it like within minutes.
When 9/11 happened, it was...
We watched it live.
We watched it after, yeah,
I saw the second plane come in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was so bizarre. But
it was surreal.
And seeing some of this video that have, appeared, catching the first plane, that, and that's, it just happened to be out there, but back in 2011, that was rare versus happened today, to be cameras all over the place.
Yeah. You ain't lying there.
It's just amazing how things, it's just great tragedies, of course, and just how life was back then. I'm always fascinated by the castles, and this one woman I follow on TikTok, she goes to all these old places. She goes to there's different places that she loves old trains, going to places. This was the iron works in Pennsylvania back in the 1800s. This building here, and all these old things, and she talks about the history of these places and stuff like that, which is very fascinating. All the stuff that happened, hundreds of years ago, and it's just how much of it's still around, or these pieces of it, and history is amazing.
It really is. And, and I can hear it now. Tanya right now is going, I hate history. I think it's because it was never presented in a particular fashion that was, you could like relate to it and understand it and appreciate it better. I think that's part of the problem, because some people are just, folks are taught this happened on this date. This happened on this date. This happened on this date. Memorize the dates. Go take a test. You're not taught to understand it, or understand the significance of it, or to be given an opportunity to think about it and be like, this can relate to what's going on around us right now. A lot of people, the phrase is potent because it's so true, is those who do not understand or learn history are doomed to repeat it. And the verb is doomed. It's correct. We're watching a very large chunk of our society right now follow Germany of the 30s,
and they don't see it.
And they don't see it.
When I go around and I see, Trump flags, you're doing a person. You're not talking about an ideology. You're not talking about Republicans. You're talking about Trump.
Yep.
Have you thought about this? It's not. You're not going. And he's. It's. Yeah. It's not an ideology. It's a person.
Yep.
And it's
and that's an insane problem right there.
It's
that's
scary.
A huge problem.
A friend of mine. I was talking with a friend of mine, and this friend, I didn't see it as much of a. I'm scared, and he's like, oh, it'll be fine. I'm like,
here's the thing.
It might
I
be
agree
eventually.
with your friend, but I'm not going to be as nonchalant about it. I understand that there is that aphorism. It's going to get worse before it gets better. People are waking up to certain things. Unfortunately, it's not happening fast enough.
Right. I don't. It'll be. I think eventually it will be fine. But
yes.
What's at what point?
What is it going to cost us? Right. What is it going to cost us in the process? That's the clincher. That's the question.
Exactly. It's like there's enough momentum of it where it could be a very rocky, very dangerous road.
Oh yeah.
To get to that, and a lot of your things could be happening which are going to be very hard and time consuming to undo, if they can be undone. So.
Yes, and that's the thing is I have faith in the system in the overall. Right. And I know, shame on me for having faith in the system at the moment, but that's how I feel. I mean, the long and the short of it is you have to have faith in something, and even if it's not a religion, then at least have something, have a belief. Yep. It's that line from Shepherd Book and Firefly. I don't care if you believe, I don't care what you believe in, just believe in something, and that's important and helpful. And, I believe that we're going to get through this as a country. Will you and I personally see the benefit of a renaissance of our society? Yes, we will. We're 51, for God's sake. We've got a long way to go yet.
I hope so.
We do. I have faith in that too.
Yeah.
Have things to live for, man.
I just worry how long it's going to take for people to come to their senses.
Yeah, that's taking a little bit longer than I expected. Mm-hmm. We have all of this information. What's the cliche, the phrase that's come up? You're saturated in information, but you are bereft of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
You have all this information, you have all this capacity for knowledge and understanding, and you don't have the wisdom on how to use it. Yeah. There's basically confirmation bias is resplendent out there because there's so much information, and a lot of it is wrong.
Yeah.
But it confirms what they want to believe, therefore they're right.
Right.
They get that boost. I found this source, and this source, and they agree with me, therefore I must be right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Doesn't take into account that all y'all are wrong, but anyway, hey, there you have
Those are all wrong incorrect sources, but
yeah,
yeah.
So and so said this. Well, so and so's a moron. Yeah. I hate to break it to you, but
so and so is a farmer and he's talking about biochemistry. What's going on?
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, but yeah. So next year is going to be telling. Next year's elections.
Mm-hmm. The midterms, yeah.
Those are going to be very telling for what's.
It's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to say that what's going to happen in the midterm elections of 22 is going to be determined in the next 6 months.
Okay.
Yep. Just based on what I know of politics, things that happen in the next 6 months will start the ball rolling towards what's going to happen in 22. And what happens in the 6 months after that, up to the elections, could modify it by a point or two, but people are going to start changing their minds or solidify their stance in the next 6 months.
Okay.
Something dramatic would have to happen in the ensuing 6 months after that for them to change their minds.
Okay.
Like I'm talking like 9/11 level stuff would have to happen in those 6 months to either sink or swim what's going to happen. People are going to make up their minds in the next 6 months.
A new variant comes out that's even more deadly than everything else.
Here's the upside. There's this new variant that everybody's talking about, the Omicron variant, and it seems to be much more contagious. However, it's also being shown to be milder, and that's a good sign.
It is.
That's a sign that we might be getting. Probably not in the home stretch of this nonsense, but it's definitely okay. It's easier to catch, but it doesn't hurt you as hard. Okay, that's not as bad. And I'm lining myself up for Pfizer number 3 probably later this week.
Good.
So I'm gonna hunker in and get my third, so I have that booster, and then I should be in good shape as long as I stay careful. You just can't like say, okay, now I'm good, so I'm just going to go ahead and walk into large crowds unmasked.
Everyone jump in the pool.
Yeah. Anyway, now you know what you do is you have that protection, and then you use it with common sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you continue masking, continue social distancing, continue making decisions about where you're going to spend your time, et cetera, et cetera. You know, so
yeah,
you know,
and if everyone does that, then maybe we'll get through it.
I know.
No one likes the masks, but you know, it makes.
Yeah, seriously, I do not. Well, you know, I can't. I actually, when it comes to wintertime, I do like the masking.
Yeah, yes. Winter mask isn't too bad.
Winter masking is, you know, it's nice and cozy actually because I get these thick ones. You remember our friend? Oh my God, I can't. Nicole from Gatehouse, the server.
Oh yeah, yes.
Okay, I stay in touch with her, and she's the one who knitted a whole bunch of the masks that I still use to this day. So I've had them for like a year now, and they're washable and sturdy and whatnot. She's taken good care of us over the years on that one. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, the Gatehouse, that was a fun time.
Yeah, it's still it's in a different part of the building, but it's still an operation. It's still a restaurant, an active restaurant over there in Village Gate.
Yeah, it was getting expensive after a while.
It was. It really was.
But it was a fun atmosphere for a while. At least there was some of the people there that were fun. It was
yes. I did enjoy the staff there.
Yeah.
There was that guy Misha. He was a charge too. We had a good time with him.
Yeah, and our normal hostess or server there was but yeah. I'm hoping we get through this. I'm hoping that next year isn't as bad as I think it might be. But
I'm sure it's going to be more of the same. Is basically what's happening here.
I don't want it to get worse. I mean, if
that's for sure.
If they get both power of both houses,
that's the thing I'm worried about. Yeah,
I fear what they'll do.
If the Republicans do get their hands back on Congress, it is.
I don't think it's the Republicans. I think it's the Trumpers. I wouldn't call it the Republicans.
You have to understand. Right now, you can't tell the two apart.
I know, but it's not. I want it to be known it's not Republicans I have a problem with; it's the Trumpers I have a problem with.
And then and that's fair and valid because there are still a handful of Republicans that I know that are still, for a reason, and I get that. But
yeah, I know. I know what you're saying.
But it's so hard to tell them apart these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially when they all they just follow the leader.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the whole Congress is doing. They're just following the leader, if it seems, which is sad.
The leader's a loser. He's not even the leader. He's nothing. He's a civilian right now, but they've given him all this authority. It's amazing.
And just to be equal, both sides need new leaders.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's
perfect.
Nope.
Neither side is right.
Mm-hmm.
Neither side is correct.
Oh, my God.
We need multiple political parties.
Both parties need to just not be so divided, which we said before, but anyways, yeah. Mm-hmm. So crossing my fingers that 2022 is not any worse than this year anyways. Hopefully that, I don't know.
Juno, stop barking, would you? Jules is home. Leave it alone.
Hopefully it doesn't take as long as I feared to get things back into a more common sense ground. But if he decides to run again in 2024,
well, how all these investigations? How is this man not being brought up on formal charges? I don't know.
How are these taking so long? It's December already.
I get it. There's a balancing act here, and I understand there's a process, and they want to make sure they get it right. Mm-hmm. It's taking forever, and unfortunately, justice is slow in this case, but. They want to get it right because here's the thing: it has to be airtight. It can't be. Oh, that's enough. That's enough evidence. Do it. Mm-hmm. That's enough evidence. Let's. Or we all know. We all saw it on TV. Let's go ahead and just do whatever needs to be done at this point. Let's break out the guillotine. Ah!
They were just regular tourists.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't get how they can sell that narrative.
They're trying to. It's amazing, and people are buying into it. That's the scary part. That's the really
boggles
scary part.
The mind. I mean, that's the kind of thing that scares me about this. Mm-hmm. Is they can sell this narrative when we have video proof of what actually happened.
Yeah.
And people are believing them. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. We saw it play out in real time, this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, did you hear about the tweets and whatnot between Junior and the chief of staff? It's all getting airtime tonight. Oh, hang on a second. I have a daughter. Hello, daughter. Are you heading out for the evening?
Hi. Tell her hi.
Uncle Dan says hello. She says hello, Uncle Dan. Come here. Come say hi to everybody.
Everybody's just Uncle Dan.
Well, it's just me.
We're recording a podcast that goes out globally.
Oh, hello.
Globally, yes.
Say hi to the world.
Hi, world.
There you go. So what friend are you hanging out with tonight? Finn? Yeah. Have I met Finn?
He's downstairs if you want to meet him.
Can we pause for a moment? Pause for station identification.
Okay, pausing. I'll finish up. Okay. And it's like nothing happened, Chris.
Because you are just that good at editing, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm good at hitting the pause button and resume.
Thank you for that station identification.
I'm trying to think what our call letters are, but I don't know.
WMMC.
MMC, yes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We were talking about
politics.
January 6th. We were talking about what's
6th.
taking so long.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, because when you lay down the hammer on whatever has to happen, you want to make sure that nobody can come back and say hoax, it's a lie, it's this, it's that. You layer the story. Here's this piece, here's this piece, here's this piece, here's this piece. And to be sure, there will be people who will deny it even then, because there are people out there right now who deny the truth that's right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're good at it. They're blind to it. And that's where education comes in.
You were mentioning Junior's tweets.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Thank you. So that was released in the hearing today that Junior was tweeting Mark Meadows, the chief of staff. Look, you've got to get him to get out in front of this. You got to get him to talk about this. You got to get him to calm these people down. Basically using Junior's own words to say, we legitimately understand what was happening, and now we have to influence Senior to get on it and calm this whole thing down and tell these people to stop.
So and I think acknowledgement that there was a problem, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's outside of the whole. Oh, it was just a tourist visit. It shuts that whole argument down.
Okay.
And it puts light on the fact that they were, and I'll tell you what, as much as I'm going to continue demonizing this boy for the rest of his life, it shows that Junior at least knew that this had gotten out of hand and something had to be done to rein it in, right? Whereas he's so used to riling people up because he's who did he learn from?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The kid's a scum-sucking son of a bitch, but at least he had enough sense to know this was wrong and something had to happen. Right. It was interesting to me, though, the dynamic that Junior himself didn't go to his father and say, Dad, come on, you got to put a break on this thing. He went to the chief of staff. You've got to do this thing. You've got to bring him in. So there's some cowardice involved there too, but it's
or we don't know what the father-son dynamic is actually. So,
the father. Well, here's the thing: is Senior only recognizes the fact that he has the eldest daughter. The rest of them are all pawns in his game.
It's funny to think about. When it's a name you almost always have heard about, and you get to know more through The Apprentice.
Yeah.
And he was kind of entertaining then.
No.
I saw some entertainment then back then.
Okay.
Some at least for the first few seasons, and
yeah.
Debbie was on one of the seasons too. So but
there you have it.
But at least the first few seasons were interesting.
Okay.
But especially the first season or two, because it was more business focused versus more of they were more auditioning for a job in the first two seasons. I think for the first season or two versus this is just the competition.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
The first couple were more, I thought were more interesting from a business point of view, and he's supposedly the smart businessman, judging these people at the end. So I thought he had some merit, but I mean but it's interesting how he went from that to what he is now.
Mm-hmm.
To just I mean, this is definitely interesting to look back and just to see the progression of that, and how did we get from there to here, and what a crazy world we live in.
Yeah, it's interesting to be we were talking about looking back at history and learning from history, right? It's interesting to me to be taught history where we were this driving force in world history as the United States, which in a lot of cases we still were. Yes, there was some glorification involved, and we weren't probably not as influential as we'd like to think we are at this point in our lives. But that'll all come to light in its own time. But now people look at us as a fucking joke.
Yeah,
we've lived. The hero lives long enough to become the villain in the story. That kind of a thing. Our country is looked on as like there are countries out there like, yeah, America's turned into a third world country with better technology.
But we still have it in our heads that we're the greatest country in the world.
There are a lot of people who think that way. Yeah. There's no stats that support that, but people believe it. So there you have it.
We don't manufacture a lot of things anymore.
No, we don't.
We got rid of all that. We don't. What do we do? We have healthcare is one of our biggest industries.
Yeah, that's a frightening idea.
It's kind of sad in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
we've done it to ourselves. And politics.
We haven't been a democracy ever.
No,
we've been a republic, and now we're an oligarchy, right? It's when 95% of the country can say we want this thing to happen, and somehow Congress says no, we're representing the people, and the people don't want this, and we're voting it down.
We're representing the money.
Yeah, they're representing the money. They're not representing people. And it all relates to a conversation we've already had about getting rid of the money, getting the money out of politics. That's an important step.
Yeah.
And there was a TikTok person that I don't follow them normally. I was just kind of surfing through the For You page, and she came up and she was talking politics and history and whatnot. And I'm like, all right, so let me see what this person's got to say. And the For You page has done a very good job of keeping people I don't agree with, out of my sightline, which is fine. There's a level of confirmation bias involved, there, but still. But this person had a really valid point. Look throughout history. If you study history for any length of period of time, there is. It's almost like a small roller coaster. Okay, it builds up, 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 and then it rides down. Okay, and then you ride down, and it's not this rapid descent. It's not suddenly after you've hit these lofty heights of the Renaissance, do you drop into another dark ages or anything. There is a decline, because what happens is people get comfortable, and as people get really comfortable and they lose interest in being participatory in the process, then the process can kind of get away from you. So there's your downhill run, and that's where we are. We've had this apathy for 40 years. Thanks, Reagan. Thank you, Reagan, for gutting a lot of the things that needed to not be gutted, and it just made it worse. And not a single president has done wonders of making it any better. Because there's always that the money barrier that you can't get past. If you want to be successful, you have to bow to the money. Well, we can be successful without the fucking money, but anyway. Yeah. So she goes, and then three things always happen. Look throughout history, and in the big watershed events, you're going to see these three things. You're going to see a pestilence. During the pestilence, or because of the pestilence, you're going to see famine. And then you're going to see a peasant revolt. Okay? So let's take it into the 21st century. For the past year and a half, almost 2 years now, we've had COVID. There's your pestilence.
Okay.
The famine is what COVID has done to the global population. It's screwed up supply chains. People are trying to blame Biden. I can't even blame Trump. All right. The supply chain was going to be boned because of what was happening, because as a reaction to COVID. All right. As much as I would love to blame one person for policies, a lot of people are at fault. Leaving it that. So here's your pestilence and your famine. Well, what's happening? Well, nobody wants to work anymore. No, people want to work. They're just sick of being treated like shit. So people are not going to jobs that do not satisfy their needs. They're looking for jobs that they can get earnings from. Okay, so the job market is not dealing with a bunch of lazy people who have been fed nonsense. You're dealing with people who are sick of struggling, have had enough, and they want better. There's your peasant revolt. Pestilence, famine, peasant revolt. You look at the French Revolution. Mm-hmm. All right, that's a big thing because the wage gap right now between the haves and the have-nots is worse than the gap that existed that led to the French Revolution. Right now in this current society. Okay. So, and you look back, you get the bubonic plague, you got this plague, that plague, this plague, the war, this war, that war, the Crusades. There's this cycle, and it's so subtle, it's not noticeable. But boom. As soon as she said it, and I thought about it for a minute, I'm like, holy crap, that makes sense. We are right now in the throes of the peasant revolt. As the lower and middle classes are like, dude, this is our country. Can we start taking this back, please? We had those terrible tornadoes in the Midwest that destroyed lives and buildings and property and just killed dozens of people. Did you hear about the candle factory?
No.
Okay. I can't remember the exact state or city that this was in, but there's a candle factory where even knowing that the storm was coming and the warnings were happening, the managers basically told their employees, we don't care about the weather. You will come to work or you're going to get fired.
Oh my gosh.
So people went to work because they didn't want to get fired. And the factory was destroyed and like 20 people were killed. I might be exaggerating on that number, but the bottom line is that the management said, show up or else. So people, out of fear for their jobs, showed up and died when the factory was destroyed by a tornado.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think people are really going to start? They're going to let that kind of behavior continue?
No.
Do we really sit here and think that folks are going to allow us to kick them in the head? Everybody's always, well, inflation. Biden's created inflation. Everybody handouts inflation. Well, you know what? Trump was handing out more handouts than Biden did, for starters. Mm-hmm. Secondly, inflation is nothing more than the oligarchy and the people with money punishing the people without for trying to get more. That's all inflation is. Inflation can be controlled and managed. Mm-hmm. But it's a response from those who have power to punish those who don't for wanting more. That's all it is. That's all it is. It is very easy. If you had control of the economy, if you gave the people the control of the economy and took it out of the hands of the powerful, of the rich, and all the the oligarchy and the people with the thousands of millions of dollars, who have more money than they'll ever be able to do with, inflation would not be a thing. Mm-hmm. Because the gaps that create it would be dealt with. Now, I'm no economist, but I don't have to be. I've paid attention, and it's not as complicated as some people would have folks believe. There's power to be had as an individual person, and we have lost that over the years.
How do we get it back?
There's going to have to be some sort of revolution.
There's going to have to be some sort of... No.
What's that?
Where's Prince when you need him?
Yeah, the Beatles. There's a philosophical revolution. A moral...
Can we do it? Can we fix it in the society that we have today?
That we have right now? Yeah, we could. We just need people to wake up a bit. It's difficult, but it has to start. Here's the thing. We're going to have the society that we have today unless we wake up and do something about it. Mm-hmm. This is the society that we are going to build a revolution off of. This is the society that needs to change to become something different. So one way or another, society today is not a factor in the equation because it's going to have to happen now to begin with.
And revolution doesn't necessarily mean we're all going to go pick up arms and go.
No. I mean, that there's a large swath of people who would love it.
Because when you hear revolution, that's what people think about. So,
right. It doesn't have to be guns and ammo. It can be a moral revolution. It can be a philosophical revolution. It can be a psychological revolution.
Just a political one. Just vote.
It's a political revolution. It's putting your foot down and saying, I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. If I can borrow the classic movie phrase.
This is what we want.
This is it. I'm as mad as hell and I don't want to take it anymore.
You're our elected officials. This is what we say you need to do for us, or we're voting you out.
Yeah, there's so many successful democracies out there. I don't know why we can't be one.
Because we're too stuck on ourselves, and we don't need to change.
But not everybody. Not every single American has this whole, America. America. Not every single American has this delusion that we are the be all end all shit.
Mm-hmm.
That we crap marble, and everything we do is perfect. There's not everybody has that delusion, but right now we're stuck because there's a lot of people who just, they see that. They think that we're so immaculate and wonderful, and we aren't.
Are we too busy fighting
each
liberal
other
versus conservative to fix the overall problem?
Yeah, and the people with the power want you to feel that way. And that is something that every single ground pounder out there, blue collar, red collar, white collar, redneck, whatever, it doesn't matter. All of those middle class down, we can all agree on the fact that the people who have the power want to keep it and are benefiting from the fact that we're all at each other's throats right now. That's But we all have a different response to that particular concept.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that needs to change.
So everybody out there, think about this.
Think about
what Chris just said over here, and think about what we've talked about for this episode. Are you happy with the way things are? Do we need to make a change? How do we do that? So
I don't know, man.
We'll leave that for next time. or maybe not. Who knows what we'll talk about next time, but
we don't.
We don't know. But
that's the best thing about this podcast. There's no prep involved. We just start recording.
No. Yeah. So, but this is a lot of food for thought. I mean, it's I know we've talked about this before, but we need change. Yes. I don't know. I don't necessarily want to call it a revolution, but we need some serious change.
Mm-hmm.
We need to not fight amongst ourselves. We need to do what's best for everybody. So that we can make it. It can be done. We just have to do it.
A little bit of capitalism here, a little bit of socialism over here, a little bit of everybody hates fascism over here.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of education over here.
A lot of education some places.
A lot of good of education, yeah.
A lot of common sense. I don't know if that's education, but common sense.
Wisdom,
common sense.
Teach critical thinking instead of teach standardized testing.
Mm-hmm.
Educate our young people. Don't train them to take tests.
Teach them how to think.
Do away with testing. Just have them progress. And if they leave high school not being able to string a sentence together, that's their problem, not yours. It's not the education system failed you. You gave them plenty of opportunity to thrive and succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they don't pass their standardized tests, then how do we know how they're? Fuck it. How about you start trusting a little bit? And if a child goes K to 12 and can't string a coherent sentence together, then guess what? The water seeks its own level. There are plenty of service jobs out there. And those who go on into the world and learn trades and learn skills or don't, we got to start making our own stuff again. We got to start doing things on our own. We can't be a consumer society. And that's what the people who have the power, that's what they want right now. So they want us to just be consumers, not builders.
Yeah, and take their large percentage of everything we buy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people need to think. They need to learn to think for themselves.
Yep.
think things out, and you use that head. That brain is a powerful tool.
It really is. It really is. I mean, not in some cases I've noticed, but
well, it can be. It has the potential to be. It has the potential to be a powerful tool.
Yes, it does.
All right.
Hey, you know what?
What?
You're my best friend, dude. You're my
my
brother.
Best friend too.
You're my brother, and I love you.
You're my family.
Yes,
I
you
love
really
you too.
are. You really are. I appreciated what you posted. I appreciate what you posted today. About letting people know that they mean something to you. And
do that every day, people. Just
do it every day.
Your friends, family, people you care about. Tell them how you feel. Don't
make it weird. Revel in it. Don't care. Just
weird is good.
don't let people know. Don't let people wonder what you're thinking. Tell them.
Right. People, we're not mind readers.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, no kidding.
And on that note,
on that happy and pious note,
so we've had an interesting journey today,
as usual.
But yeah, I mean, saving the world is not easy, everybody.
No, it isn't. So, it isn't. It really isn't.
Yeah. Be kind. Be thoughtful. Question. Be curious.
Be curious, not judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
Live. Don't just exist.
Right.
And folks, don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick if you could be. All right.
All right.
On that note.
Catch you later.
Catch you later. Catch you later, dude.
Catch you later, dude.
See ya.